In this video, we're going to talk about how the Trump tariffs are expected to affect mortgage rates and housing. So the first thing that we're going to look at is in 2018, the National Bureau of Economic Research, they put out a report that looked at 151 countries over 5 decades. So this is a substantial data set that they're pulling from. What they found was that tariffs did not really cause inflation in all of these economies. And we'll get to why that is in a minute. What's absolutely true is that these tariffs do result in an economic slowdown. Their study also showed that when tariffs are happening during a recessionary period where we are arguably in right now, then they show that it can actually cause deflation. And that has shown over time to be good or bad. It can be good if we're coming off times of high inflation, which we would be, but it can be bad for economy if it extends for too long of a period of time. Now, if you just take the logic about, okay, well, if you have tariffs, isn't that driving up the cost of things? Yes, that's absolutely true. But a couple things come into play that vary the situation a little bit. Number one, not the cost of everything goes up. Number two, consumer behaviors change. If prices go up, they look for substitutes. They try to look for alternatives that's going to be more affordable for them. The third thing is that historically businesses do try to absorb some of the costs because they want to sell a certain amount of units. And if the price goes up because of tariffs, automatically they're going to be selling less. So businesses do to some extent try to absorb costs. They try to find ways to cut internally so that they're not spending as much overhead per unit produced. And ultimately they're trying to get that balance where they're selling enough product at the right price to optimize their profit. So because we can reliably expect that tariffs are going to cause an economic slowdown and that it doesn't really cause inflation, you can actually expect mortgage rates to come down as a result of these tariffs. Now, the reason for this is something that I've talked to you before, is that when investors are worried about the stock market, they take their money out of stocks and they put them into safer investments like mortgage bonds. And when they do that, that causes mortgage rates to come down. Now, at the time of making this video, the tariffs have been announced and we saw the stock market do a whipsaw that actually had a negative effect on mortgage rates. So we're not going to talk about that in this video because that's an exception, a unique situation that happens in the short term. But if you want to learn more about why that happened, I made another video that you can click on in the description. Now, this economic slowdown can also accelerate the Fed to cut rates quicker than what they originally anticipated. And that's actually very historic of the Fed. They are highly reactive. So if they see economic slowdown, there's a good chance that they're going to cut more than the 3 times that they anticipated for 2025. Now, for those of you who are homeowners, we're still not quite sure, and everyone's been wrong as far as when mortgage rates are going to bottom out. But for most people who bought a home within the last 2 years, most of them can actually take advantage of refinancing into a lower rate. But the strategy that you need to take advantage of right now is refinancing into a lower rate at little to no cost. Now, the cost of that refinance does get rolled into your loan amount, generally speaking, so you're not really coming out of pocket, but it's still a cost. And with our clients, we're refinancing them where the savings that they get on a monthly basis exceed the cost of the refinance in a very short period of months. So that way you actually get to save money while waiting for mortgage rates to come down. But the market is very volatile. So during this time, the opportunities for refinance, we might see some improvements in mortgage rates for a bit, and you kind of have to get in right there. And then if you wait 2-3 days later, that opportunity to refinance and save can be gone. So you really have to be watching things. If you're one of our clients, we have you on our strike rate program. So when the market gets to a place where you can benefit from reducing your interest rate, we alert you and start that conversation with you. And if you're not on our strike rate list, I'll put a form in the description that gives us all the information that we need so that if there's some improvements and you can benefit, you automatically get alerted. So that's what we can expect on mortgage rates. But what can we expect with home prices? The biggest area of concern is going to be whether lumber tariffs get applied to Canada. Now, during the Biden administration, they did an 80% increase on tariffs that we already had for Canada's lumber, for softwood lumber, which is predominantly used for home building. So if we do end up seeing those tariffs applied, that can have a drastic effect on home prices. So if you're a first-time home buyer, or if you're buying your next home, but you're upsizing, which means you're buying a more expensive home or a larger home, then it'd probably be better off for you if you did something sooner than later. Because if those tariffs do apply to Canadian lumber, it just doesn't make sense how that's not going to increase the cost of construction. And I know our government is trying to free up being able to access our own timber, but who knows how long that's going to take for things to really get off the ground, for projects to get started. Now, if you're downsizing and getting into a smaller home or a less expensive home, then it really doesn't apply to you. You're going to be just fine. So if that was helpful for you or educational, please like or subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave that in the comment section, and I hope you guys have a great day.